I wanted to talk about a really important theme, a theme about conserving and protecting our environment. If you've been a long-time follower and subscriber to my channel, you'll know that I'm not only passionate about environmentally friendly board games, but games that really exemplify and communicate an environmentally friendly and protective theme. And the game I'm talking about today is one that relates to our reefs. And living in Australia, being surrounded by some of the most beautiful, most pristine environments that I have seen anywhere around the world. Australia is one of those places where you can be in the desert 1 minute, a forest the next, or even swimming the Great Barrier Reef. Today we're going to be looking at Reef Project, a game about protecting, restoring, and cleaning up the oceans. Hi, my name's Danny. I'm an avid modern board gamer from Australia. I love sharing my passion for modern board gaming with you, my friends, and my family. Come along and clean up this planet with me. And don't forget to subscribe for some more wholesome board game content. Hey Danny, have you ever wanted to save the planet by playing board games? How? You can actually play this reef conservation board game with every single person that you know. I'm onto it. Reef Project is a fascinating Euro game. What you're going to be doing throughout the game is you're going to be controlling a little research boat and you're going to be traveling from island to island. All of the actions that you can take throughout the game are listed on these different islands scattered throughout the main game map. To go from island to island, you'll be paying the electrical cost that's shown on the route, and then you'll be dropping one of your little buoys along the way. Now, when you drop a buoy, that means you can now, in future turns, travel along that route without having to pay that energy cost again. But there is a little bit of a twist to this. Because you placed a buoy, it now means that other players who use that route are going to have to pay less energy than you did. And that creates for some interesting networking, bonus, tacking on mechanisms. I kind of liken this to the idea of like, well, I've paved this path, now you can go along my path, and you've paved that path, now I can go along your path. And so you'll be bouncing from island to island, and as the game progresses, you'll place out more buoys, and then you'll be able to travel further and further to the corners of the board. Other players will be able to travel along your routes and pay a cheaper cost. If they drop a buoy on your route, that'll make it cheaper for the next person to use that route. And what you eventually get are routes which are completely enclosed. In each of the little different enclosures on the board, there's different sized rubbish tiles. These rubbish tiles contain little bonuses if you are the person that claims it. To claim a rubbish tile, you need to enclose a particular region that's connected by the routes and the islands, and whoever has the most buoys around a particular region gets to claim that particular rubbish token. All players who are shared in this kind of encapsulation of this little reef region also get points for having a buoy there, and it kind of signifies their contribution to helping clean up the ocean and also helping the reefs to grow and the marine life to thrive. The next part of the game is all about swimming and exploring different coral species. Players are going to send divers into the ocean, they're going to explore different coral and use oxygen tanks as they do so. As they progress up this track and access new oxygen tanks, they'll be able to gain a bonus. And as they gain a bonus, the oxygen tanks will flip over and subsequent players who use those oxygen tanks will get a bigger bonus. Kind of a little bit of a catch-up mechanism. Now, as you progress along the reefs and uncover and flip over new reef tiles, these reef tiles provide you with fish abilities. So if you go to an island that has a fish, it'll trigger the ability of where your diver is on this little dive that's adjacent to the reef that's connected to it. And this creates for some interesting synergy and bonus comboing effects. The next element of the game is the mission card track. The mission card track are cards that allow you to acquire them into your hand, and they have particular bonuses that you can play depending on whether you're at the island that they need to be triggered on or you're not at any island at all. And so having these island triggering mission cards allows you to gain extra bonuses, and you're playing these cards into your tableau. As you're getting these bonuses, each of the cards has one of 3 different suit icons. And as you're playing these suits, you're trying to create a set of 3 different icons, which will give you 4 bonus points. So you're playing a diverse range of mission cards, you're getting the bonuses of the mission cards, and then you're trying to be in places around the reef that help you to execute these mission cards. Then you've got the research track. The research track determines what research cards you can actually access. So at the beginning of the game, you only have access to 2 research cards on the market track, but as you increase your research, you gain bonuses on the way, but also access more cards. And having that breadth of options means that you can kind of configure and collect the suits that you want, but also complete more missions, gain more bonuses, and trigger more effects, which I love about a lot of these board and dice games. And the final aspect is completing your ship. Your ship has 3 different rows where you have 3 different types of crew members. You've got sailors, scientists, and explorers. And basically what you're doing is you are acquiring all of these different crew members with different abilities that trigger off when you need them. You can convert algae into points. You can get coins by converting different resources, and your resources that are depicted on your cruise ship kind of go up and down, and you have to deploy more buoys in order to maximize the amount of resource you can gain. And so there's a balancing mechanism between synergizing the tiles that you've got in your ship with all the crew members, but also maximizing the resources you can use so you can spend them to do more research actions on the main game map. Cool thing about your ship is that some of the actions in the game allow you to trigger entire rows. So if you've got 3 different magenta colored crew members, you can trigger them all if you use the magenta triggering action. When you complete a column of 3 different crew members, you get to trigger one of the crew members in that column as a bonus action. And so here in the game, you're riding on the coattails of all the bonuses and the other bonuses that you get to create all these really cool chaining effects. Some of the things I really enjoyed about Reef Project is the main game map. The idea that you are moving your ship around to these different islands and thinking about what sort of actions you need to trigger that will cause a cascade of bonus actions on your turn. Do you need to get to that peripheral island to get the algae, or to move to the other side of the island or the reef to be able to trigger one of your crew members, which will help you gain further bonuses along the way, but also help you to play mission cards? There's a lot of stepping stone actions in this game that trigger depending on which core action you take at the islands. I think the area control mechanism of not only scooting around to different islands, using other people's routes, but being able to traverse more efficiently across the progression of the game is really cool. And I think this is a very strong characteristic of board and dice games. There's so many layers that every little mechanic has had thought put into it. Yes, you create routes. Yes, you deliver the buoys. And then yes, if you enclose one of the areas, you've got to think how many buoys were contributed, who contributed the most. You get points for it. You get ways to score and get that bonus tile if you have the majority. And so the combination of area control, network route building, and also having to locate the positions of those actions really makes for a really strong interconnected Euro game experience. And that's where a lot of the fun really lies. And the addition of these mission cards really adds extra oomph and fuel to what you really want to do. I also like the supplementary actions of your shipboard, and I think the times I played, I have never been able to fill up a lot of my shipboard, even though I had the ship that allowed me to buy the crew members more cheaply, because the islands are actually configured differently each game, and so the cards also come out differently, and also the tiles come out differently. You can actually put crew members in your ship that are wild as well, because if there's a particular color that you want to finish a row but you can't, you can flip it over and get 2 coins instead. And so I really love the marriage of the cruise ship actions with the main game network actions. In a lot of these Euro games, there's always that supplementary action that gives you just extra little frills that, if you've got these extra resources, you can't do anything, you do this action. Reef Project really turns that on its head. The recharge action in Reef Project is so good. I love how they give you powerful combos you can take as an alternative to your main action, where you recharge your battery of your ship or your fuel cells. Depending on where your victory point marker is on the victory point track, there are lots of bonuses that are scattered all the way along the VP track, and it makes the VP track more meaningful. And so as you get further up the VP track, when you do a recharge, you can get to like 5 different bonus actions that allow you to just recharge everything that you need to continue your voyage. Both thematically cool, but also combo-tastically cool. And I love that recharge action, because towards the end of the game, I was like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. Bang, recharge, get like a plethora. It was like Christmas Day at the end of the game, because I was like, I just recharge and get all these things for free. It was just so satisfying. And then it's like, now I've got all these things for free. What can I do with them? What can I springboard? And it does help players who fall behind to equalize the scores a little bit better and keeps the tension running high. Love, 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 love that element of the game. Makes it so much more interesting and balanced. I also like what triggers the first and second scoring in the game. When you get to, I think, like 22 points, you trigger the first scoring, and then you get these little secret private objective cards, which really makes the game feel like there is a first half and a second arc to the game. And I love it when games do that, because it feels like, oh, now we're moving into the more critical part of the game, where things are going to amp up, things are going to get more interesting, things are going to get more dynamic. I need to be a little bit more competitive. I need to adjust my strategy. And so these are beautiful touches to a game that sings a beautiful melody to me when I play it. I guess some of the limitations to Reef Project is that once you play quite a lot of these combo-tastic point salad style games, they all kind of blur on the lines of feeling a little bit samey. Yes, there's an area control element. Yes, there's a track you ascend. Yes, you bonus this and bonus that. And so games like White Castle, Windmill Valley, Reef Project, all of them start to feel like different versions of each other. And so when I'm thinking about Reef Project and how it stands out amongst the other kind of unique, innovative thematic Euros, I think this is where it falls short a little bit. I guess the main dynamic element of this game that's interesting is the map and the island hopping and using the area control aspects of the game. But I feel like all of the other elements of the game are things that we've already seen a lot before. And whilst the theme, I think, in Reef Project is probably its strongest mark and its message, I do feel that some of the mechanics could be a little bit more innovative than they actually are. I mean, the research track is something that I've seen in Ark Nova. The card usage and triggering things off each other, we've seen them a lot before. I actually found the research track quite underwhelming, because not only does it allow access to certain mission cards, but it gives you all these like side tracks to kind of explore, like a kind of one-off bonus, which I didn't particularly find to be interesting all that much. And some of these games can feel like bonuses are just random. You get this bonus because you've just opened this tile, and this random bonus connects with that random bonus. And so everything kind of feels like there's no distinction between a money strategy, a reef strategy, or a research strategy. They all just feel very similar and linear and kind of the same thing. And so I feel like this game could have had that extra potential, and I would love to see an expansion to this game which focuses on collecting fish in a fish tank. So you go to the reef, you grow your coral in your fish tank, and you add fish species to it, just to give it that more distinct feel to it. Whereas, you know, games like Windmill Valley, where you've got these cogs, that kind of is its distinctive mechanism that connects everything together. And so I feel like Reef Project, some ways, too well polished. Everything has been thought of, but nothing feels entirely fresh, if that makes sense. And so it is definitely a game that I will keep in my collection, but at this point I'll probably rate Reef Project a 3 out of 4. So what did you think of this thematic Euro about saving the reefs? Is it a game that you want to add to your collection? Can you think of any other games that are really passionate and express this need for conserving our beautiful environment and our beautiful planet in any other ways? I really love it when a thematic Euro really encapsulates that powerful message of conservation. Thank you once again for joining me for another Board Game Sanctuary video. If you really found this video super helpful and entertaining, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel and checking out my Patreon page. If you want to check out some of my other cool list videos, please head over to my main page. This is Danny signing out. I hope to see you for my next video.